Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. Happy Memorial Day. Happy Memorial Day. So thank you for tuning in. But know that we have a special Memorial Day treat for you. So I know so many of you are sheltered in the house, and some of you are finding little creative ways to have cookouts and small gatherings with your families. Nonetheless, we wanted to come to you tonight to share a lot of good and entertaining information. So as you know, here on the Let's Do It Talk Show, we're primarily geared for the entrepreneur. However, we know that there are so many facets to a given person. So we talk about faith, we talk about finances, we talk about the future through career and entrepreneurship, and then we also talk about family and relationships. So today, this evening, we're going to be talking about relationships. So you all have been stuck in the house for several months now, since March. And some of the relationships, whether it be with your spouse or whether it be with your children, your friends, it has made an impact to it, right? So we're going to dig in a little bit deeper and talk about relationships, but we're also going to talk about dating. How has COVID-19 impacted your dating? But you know what I do. I do my introduction and I tell you about my weekend first. So it's me, it's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell, right? I help to turn dreamers into doers. And I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development. Resume writing, interview preparation, you're looking to change a job or you think it's no job in this climate right now, I'm your girl. And then from a business aspect, if you have started a business looking for a marketing strategy or any of the likes, you just have some ideas and you don't know how to bring them to fruition, guess what? I'm your girl. So reach out to me. Let me know how I can assist you to help make your dreams come true. Oh, so my weekend, talking about dreams and visions. So most of you all know that on my vision board for 2020, one of the things I put on there was cooking. So my weekend pretty much goes about my cooking, but this one was a little bit funny. Typically, people think spaghetti is pretty easy to make, right? Yeah. Early on, someone told me to make sure that I wash my meat really, really well. So I have cooked turkey cutlets. I have cooked chicken wings, barbecue wings. So you've seen me cook a couple things that were around meat. So this time the meat was different, y'all. It was turkey meat how I started off, but my turkey meat kept being mushy. And guess what? I didn't know you wasn't supposed to wash ground beef and ground turkey. So every time I washed it, it kept like dissolving. And I would be like, this is so nasty. Like maybe I bought it too lean and I would throw it away. So yeah, so we laughed about that on social media because I was amazed when I learned. So shout out to Dee Dee. Dee Dee is one of my chefs, one of my coaches. So I have several of them who are teaching me how to coach. But we had a big laugh out of that one, but at the end of the day, My spaghetti was really good. I mean, like, I'm not joking. It might be the best that I've ever tasted before. And I guess because along the way, as you're tasting it, you can figure out the liking of it. The spaghetti sauce was just how I liked it. The firmness of the spaghetti, just how I like it. The Italian bread, where I just had to put that in the oven, and I just like bread, right? So that was part one. Then we had part two of my weekend, well, my week, right? I have been wanting to go on vacation for a minute, been thinking about vacation, and most of you all know normally I'll take my annual trip to Martha's Vineyard, or I will go somewhere around my birthday. My birthday is next week, so as I was on my deck, I was thinking, like, let's make this vacation. So you'll see the next set of pictures to come up. But basically, I was pretending like I was on vacation, and guess what? I learned to steam shrimp and got some crabs to go with it. And y'all know yesterday's sauce, right? Yesterday's sauce is none like any other. So that's what I did. So I went on my deck, lit my little candle, and I so happened to have one that said vacation. And I just pretended like I was on vacation. So that's what I did. And then last, very quickly, before we move into the show, so again, I mentioned that my birthday is coming up next week, and I always do something. So actually, I'm going to have a virtual paint party. So what I did last night was I picked out the picture for the paint party. And this so like represents me, right? It so represents me. So shout out to Janice Bowles, who helped me pick it out. I was doing my 3-mile walk on the phone with her, and we picked out the picture. So looking forward to that. So now for the show. I am so excited about our new contributing host. I mean, like, seriously excited for y'all, but also for me as well. She comes all the way from New York, and if you saw her the previous show that she was on, you already know what she means. But her name is Shaneeka McCray, and she is the founder of the HelpMeet Club. And just let me tell you a little teeny bit about Neek. I call her Coach Neek. So Shaneeka, she is a matchmaking coach and founder of the HelpMeet Club. After earning her bachelor's degree in behavioral science and studying public administration at the master's level, she began working for the government and nonprofit agencies, counseling families and formerly incarcerated men and women. She personally thanks everyone who helped her to make her way through where she is. And she's so excited about it that she found different ways that she can give back and share her strategies on how to live life more abundantly. She began her own personal journey and transformation just a few years ago. After a season of winning in everything she touched, from her career to her finances to her business and relationships, it all came crashing down. It all came crashing down, and she experienced what seemed like a long season in the desert. So fast forwarding, she began to ask God what went wrong. Like most people, when things are good, she forgot to thank him. She realized that she forgot to thank him for everything that she had, and that she failed to listen to some of his warnings to move away from people and from relationships that didn't seek his yes. She didn't seek his yes, so sometimes she was moving on her own, especially when it came to big decisions. And as she was doing that, she paid for it. So basically, there's a price that you have to pay for everything. But she was saved by grace. She was able to recover it all, and she came out stronger and wiser. Her experience was so life-changing that she wondered how many other men and women were living beneath their God-given potential. And from this, she decided that she wanted to share this. She wanted to bring this, and that's what we have here. We have Shaneeka Shaneeka McCray. So Shaneeka, like, oh my goodness, we are so excited to have you as a part of the show. We couldn't wait for this fourth Monday to happen so that you can come on. So I know, like, when you previously came on, I'll tell you, you just dropped one bomb, one nugget, one bomb, and one nugget after another. So for me personally, very enlightening. So I'm looking forward to the monthly contributions that you will have and your program, because it's not just New York and DC that you're tapping into. It is in a couple other of locations. So when someone signs up for you, it's not just a small network that they're working with, because as you expand, the net in the water, which is catches, expand. So we're going to talk today on our first topic, which is about dating during COVID-19. You're going to share some tips and some strategies. So I am going to let you take it away from here. But thank you so much. I'm so excited about you being a part of our show and joining as a family member.
Thank you. I am so excited too. I'm going to try not to talk too loudly because for whatever reason, I think no one else can hear me. So I'm going to use my inside voice, my soft and soothing voice.
Okay.
But yeah, no, thank you. This was something that was in the works between you and I for a while. And if people don't know you, they need to, because you're gonna make it happen. You didn't let me forget about our agreement, which is great, because sometimes I go off and I don't bring it back to basics. But I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited to be contributing in the area of relationships from a faith-based standpoint. And, we are in the middle of COVID, and COVID has hit New York in a way that it maybe hasn't hit some other states. It's just been hit very hard. And, I'm not used to being on 42nd Street and being able to turn and there's no people there. So one thing I realized is I work with singles. I have singles chapters in Ohio, Texas, obviously the DMV, and Georgia. And I'm going to tell you, the desire to date has not dissipated. And one of the questions I get a lot is, well, you're still doing matchmaking. How are we supposed to meet? I think it's more advantageous for a Christian person, a single woman wanting to get to know someone right now, because you kind of have an excuse to get to know people in a way that you don't when the world is just moving. It's moving too fast. And of course, we don't recommend people physically having contact with each other right now with everything going on. But the Zoom and the meetings and the telephone calls, those have come back into play. And I think, in my opinion, that forms a stronger bond. Now you're forced to get to know someone. Now you're forced to have to wait on certain things that you wouldn't necessarily have to wait on before. So I think that obviously, yes, COVID is horrible. There's been a lot of deaths. But I think in terms of relationships, I think this is a great time to start something new and to get somebody. Because when we come out of it, now you have a fruitful basis of a relationship. So now you bring that all together, and I believe that's a powerful connection.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I'm smiling because I had a conversation with someone last night, and we were talking about some of the benefits of dating as we were talking about preparing for the show today. So this topic is, I've tried not to tell my business too much, but every time we have a conversation, something ends up oozing out of me. But what I'll say is, in general, I totally agree with what you said in terms of you're able to have more intellectual engagement because of the necessity to stay apart. And it depending on the type of person that it is, and especially you hit it when you say it from a Christian standpoint, right? Because you are tempted when you're in environments and it doesn't necessarily have to go into sex or sexual encounter, but the whole cuddling, a kiss or hugging, all of those things can lead to things that we shouldn't be doing, at this stage. So, and I say all that to say, like, your point, you hit it right there. Like, it's a benefit to so many of us, and especially depending on your love language. And if you are one who really wants to get to know that person, and you can have discussions to go back and forth where it is not tainted because of some physical attraction. Where physical attraction sometimes can lead you to, oh, that's okay, or lead you to let something easily go. On the telephone or however, Zoom or whatever it is, some people are more likely to stay in the zone and keep the thing of trying to learn the other person. What I want to do real quick, I want to pause right here, and I want you to finish the discussion on the other side, but I want to show your promo. Your promo, when I saw it, it really impressed me because I want the folks to understand. Those who saw you on the previous show, they already know, and no further captions or information is needed. They already know that you bring it. But for those who don't know, I want to just give them a taste of your style. Your promo represents you and your business to a T. So we're going to show the promo clip really quickly, and then we're going to come back and finish engaging in our discussion. So if you are single and you've been thinking about it or kind of waiting it out or whatever, I'm trying to tell you that video will capture you. And what I loved about it, Neek, is it explains your style. And I love your style and your flow, despite the audience in terms of how it goes. That's why I can't wait till we start back up with the men and the women conversation, because I got one set of guys. They didn't make it when you were here, but I cannot wait to see you engage with them. But please feel free to share any other information, any other heads up that you want to give the folks about what they can expect.
So yeah, we're revamping our services, and just to go back to the promo, I am a product of my product. So I couldn't come up with any formula other than what I used on myself. And we always talk about those boundaries, those non-negotiables, and sometimes the breakup will to use that part of your mind that says, okay, I know it happened to me. I'm going through it, but how am I going to come out of it? What is it I'm supposed to learn from it? And if you try to jump back into the dating arena too soon, and you're not healed, I could bring you the perfect match, and it's just canceled out. So I do really, I like the coaching. I like the ability to have a conversation with you and kind of figure out where you are. And if it's my recommendation that maybe we need to do a couple of more sessions together before we take the next step, then I'll recommend that. because everything is not always about money. You know,
Right.
if that's what I just wanted money, I would transform the site into a dating site, which I have refused to do. I'm not, you know, it's so special to me. And one of the things that differentiates me from a typical online dating site is we don't have public profiles. You know, no one's going to go on there and see your profile.
Perfect.
And actually, I only use the profiles to allow two singles to communicate. So if you sign on, we have a couple of different programs. This one is just slightly a step above online dating, but everything is all human. There's no algorithm. So you submit all your information. And if we have someone that you match with and we can do it in a timely frame within a week or two, then we'll give you that suggestion and that introduction. And everything happens online until you guys are ready to take it offline, whether it be Zoom or a physical date.
Okay.
And it's really affordable, and we kind of cap it to one time a month, because I know that people believe matchmaking is a service. It's really, really expensive and not attainable for everyone. But my agenda really is kingdom work. And if there's something that I can do to bring people together, I don't want money to be something that prevents you from being a part of this. Yeah. In fact, you can always create a profile for free. You can always submit your profile information for free on a quick form as join the database only. And if you are a match to one of our other clients, we'll pull you, we'll interview you, make sure you're still available, and then make the connection. And I won't lie, sometimes I don't pull a lot of people from the database, but it's worth a try to go ahead and put yourself in there. We always need men. So, we want more men to join the database. Then we have more traditional matchmaking where we'll follow up with you. We'll send you on a couple of more dates. But the thing about this is, because we're in a couple of different states, there's not always a lot of in-person meetings, especially for what we're charging. We're not really charging a lot. But one of the things that has been on my mind is to really solicit people who are like on a fast track to marriage. Let's say a man and a woman want to be engaged within a year. That's a program that I kind of want to explore. So I think my marketing team and I have a therapist who's a law of attraction therapist, and we do different calls, which is really great. I mean, I support you through this whole process because, again, I want you to be successful.
Right.
So sometimes we have to work on our thinking. There are 4 things that create a healthy relationship, right? So I'll look at, is this person going to be attracted to the match that I've selected? Are they going to have chemistry? Is the personality going to match? And then lastly, love, because that comes in at a different time. But the thing with love, and I learned myself, is that it doesn't take forever to learn to love a person or to know that you're going to love a person. There are things that they do to say, well, maybe I'm not in love with this person, but I could see the fruits of the spirit in him or her, and I could love that person. So we kind of put that off at the end. More important is that chemistry, that attraction, and that personality. So if any of those 3 things are off, we'll kind of pass and keep on looking for another match. But like I said, I want to explore that fast track to marriage. And I think pretty soon we're going to be opening up for people who specifically want to get married in the very near future. So it'll be myself, my other half, who's actually in ministry, in a male, which is very important, and he is my wise counsel. And then the law of attraction therapist. And I think between the 3 of us, we'll do a very intense, and I don't want to say investigation, but like background checks, psychologicals, just to make sure that we're setting you up for the win and not the fall.
I love that. I love it for several different reasons. One, you're a team. So understanding that there are different components to make this thing work. and you bring it from various and the ministerial, the law of attraction, and then of course your powerful role that you have. So I love it how your team completes like the components of what's necessary. And then the second thing that really caught my attention is in terms of the making sure that the people are on the same, they have the same idea in terms of time frame. So I know like the example that you used was that people who want to get engaged in 1 year, but even if it's 1 year, 2 year, or some other, I like how you have different levels of your program where you meet people where they are, and it's not them feeling boxed into one given area. They can honestly tell you where they are in this path, and then you can create and connect them with people that are on the same path. That way, when you first start off, you know that you're on the same playing field. So I really like that, because so many times people will get matched up and one wants to get married and the other one just wants to, you know, chill, relax and all that. And it's like from the beginning, they have two different goals. So it's not necessarily going to be successful. They may have some good times, but not necessarily successful. So I love what you're doing about that. I love your various markets, and I love your background in terms of how you came into the space that you are now, from your educational training, from your environmental experiences, and from the work that you have done. So again, very thrilled to have you as a part of our show, and looking forward to you engaging more with even more than you already have with the DMV. Looking forward to using this platform and this space for so many different events and activity that are geared around this whole relationship thing. So thank you so much. Tell our audience how they can connect with you.
Okay, it's going to be pretty simple. It's at HelpMeet Club on Instagram, Facebook, the HelpMeet Club, and you can go directly to the website, you know, thehelpmeetclub.com. So yeah, I look forward to meeting some new people from the DMV. I'm really even considering having the DMV be the pilot for this fast track. So, you know, I'm excited. Let's see what happens.
That will be hot. That will be hot if you make that happen, and if we are the selection for, that would definitely be hot. I already got some thoughts and some thinking going in terms of activity. So hopefully, so thank you again. I appreciate you taking time out your schedule, because it's Memorial Day for the first one, but I wanted your introduction to start like immediately and soon, so that people can get ready for all that you will be bringing to this show. So thank you so much, Shaneeka. I appreciate you and cannot wait to have you in the studio and to just expand on what you're already doing. There's so many other things that you can't even talk about yet, but and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you from when I first met you to the things that you have done up to date. So I'm glad that we were able to keep our partnership, because when you blow up, I want you to remember me and be a part of it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So you all, you heard it from Neek. And again, those of you who were in the studio or watched the show when she came, she was powerful from the time that she spoke until the end of the show. And I gracefully just passed the microphone and let her take the forefront. And if you all go back, you'll see she gave me a little on the site coaching. It wasn't meant to be that way, but it kind of fell into that way. She has a way. Like, I try to be a little bit private about my relationships. There's some I might throw a picture or two up there, but I really try to be private about it. And she kind of pulled it out of me like on air. You know what I mean? I'm not private about my previous one, but I mean like my current one. So look out. Make sure you mark your calendar for every show. It's just, man, I'm telling y'all, we are really doing some things and strategizing in terms of our audience and what you all need, and making sure that we touch on all components. So we're going to go to commercial, and I will see you all on the flip side. Everyone, so welcome back. We are going to pretty much shift topics, right? So through COVID-19, there's been like so much information that's going on. So Nick has pretty much explained, just like so many other people have talked about what is still continuing during COVID-19, the same thing like with the whole dating game. And various people that I've talked to about subjects upon dating, a lot of my single friends have expressed that this period of sheltered in has actually worked to their benefit. So it has been a very interesting topic. So of course, I wanted to bring that about. So before we do that, let me give some shout outs to everyone that's on the phone. So shout out to James Adele, Miss Peggy, hi, Brittany Daniels, Gianni Flowers, Derek Reggie Atkins, Sabrina Jackson, Janice Bowles, who will be joining us. And yeah, she'll be joining us. Dawn Anderson, Veronica Howard, Marcus Johnson, Dee Dee Hinton. Thanks, Dee Dee, for all my cooking lessons. And you can chime in on this topic as well. Christine Brown, hey fam. Matthias Michael Hyper. Andre Watts, hey bruh. Great conversation that we had over the past week. And Yolanda Moten. So thank you all for tuning in. And it's some other names up here because of the total of the number, but I can't see your names. But let's dive right into the conversation. And I am going to be looking down at my phone because I want y'all to be engaged in the discussion, and I'm going to read y'all responses on the air. If y'all wanted to be anonymous, please put anonymous beside it, but you're already in the box. So you can say it's for your friend or however you want to do it. But let's get into the conversation, right? So the first one is when we're going through this whole shut in, right? It is an aspect of, it was a shock to everyone. So it wasn't expected, so it came all of a sudden. When you have situations that you can prepare for, it happens a little teeny differently because you can transition into it. This was no warning, it came about and it was all of a sudden. So my question is, how are you dealing with your relationship? How are you dealing with your relationship? So we want to start off with talking about your spouse, or if you have a live-in person that lives in 100%, that's where we want to start. But then we're going to go and talk about your children, your friendships, and your family. I mean, because you have relationships with them as well. So let's talk about your significant other. So the first topic that I want to go into is locked in and loving it. Locked in and loving it. So some people may start off with this area, right? And some people may grow into it. You have your household, you have your partner. So some people have missed out on seeing their partners on a routine basis, whether it be from your work schedule or whether it be from your personal commitments, even when you get into the house. But now, as we're sitting and most people have ample time, but trust me, a lot of people, time is being utilized in various ways where their entire clock is still as taken up as it was before. But let's focus on relationships. And then after we do relationships, we're going to go into the single person and then go into other things. So in terms of y'all relationships, and Dee Dee, you can chime in because your husband, I don't know if he was losing it or you were driving him crazy. So one and the same, but you had a video with your husband with an umbrella in the house. And he was singing a song or doing whatever he needed to do, but I was about to come over there and rescue Gary. So by all means, you can chime in and tell us, like, what in the world was you doing to that man that drove him to have an umbrella in the house, and them cool about it because y'all were laughing about it. And then other people, like, what have you been experiencing? So when I was doing my research, it showed like a variations of things. So it showed individuals who, again, they were shocked by this whole issue, didn't know what to expect. And when they first, like during the first week or so, they were like, okay, like thinking that it was going to pass for, after a while, that it was only going to last for a short period of time. But then as it went on, people in themselves, and not like irritated with the relationship of their spouse, but just irritated alone, because some people are used to going outside every day, or especially extroverts. I said a prayer for y'all. I'm an introvert, so I was fine. But how was it with you all? How did you all feel about anything that was going on with your spouses? So feel free to share. But one of the things that the studies has said is that initially, during like the first 2 weeks or so, people were adjusting because they thought it was going to be a short period of time. Then after the 2-week period, and the restrictions started becoming more strict, that they started becoming irritated. Thus, when you're irritated or you have something going on with you, you end up portraying it to other people who may have nothing to do with it or no responsibility at all against it. So with that piece of it, it even went further and further when they started dictating, like you started losing loved ones. You started hearing about how long it was going to take for us to be able to be relieved. So that tapped into your emotional state of things. So rather you actually experienced someone who had COVID-19 in the hospital, or even someone that passed away from there. All of this messes up your normal psychological, and impacts the way that you operate. So from that standpoint, it spills over into all of your relationships. So either from the standpoint, one of our slides that we talked about, it is sheltered in and suffocating. And that was the point where people had began to get, and they felt like they didn't know, it was unknown in terms of when we were going to be, I was going to say free, but it's sort of like that. When we were going to be free, but when the orders would be lifted for us to be able to go out. And as you know, they're still not lifted as of now. So in terms of feeling that way, a lot of people, and it's unfortunate because even people who were not sick, I know of people who have committed suicide. I know of people who have some people who have told me when they get out of this and when they're able to breathe free from this, that they figured out that their husband or their wife is not the partner for them, and that they plan to divorce or separate. But then you have the other ones who have grown stronger together because they feel like we're all in this together and we have to figure out a way to get through it. So what was your feeling in terms of it? So we're going to talk about the individuals as well, but Janice is going to join us, and she's going to talk to us about her experience of from a married standpoint. And Gianni says, yes, please pray for me, although I'm ambivalent, balance between introvert and extrovert. So yes, your introvertness and your extrovertness definitely has something to do with it. But Gianni, I also want to give a shout out to you in terms of a prayer, and that I'm keeping you lifted in prayer. So those of you who know Gianni, have seen her on the feed, she serves as our intern. She hasn't been here since COVID-19 or the shutdown, because I pretty much have been the only one in the studio, but she lost her sister. So Gianni, praying for your comfort and praying for your strength to help you to get through what you're dealing with your sister. And then on top of all of that, existently, what we have going on already in the world. So definitely send our prayers up to you, and everyone keep her lifted. So let's talk about singleness, because I can speak from that standpoint. So in terms of being sheltered in and suffocated, I've never felt that way. Like, I'm a true introvert, and I know it's hard for some people to believe it. I am energetic. I'm an energetic introvert, and I do well with people, but when I'm by myself, that's my time. So I'm actually enjoying this time. And although my work schedule, oh my goodness, my work schedule has not stopped. So most of you know I work for the Food and Drug Administration, and the Health and Human Services is at the forefront of all of this that's going on. Whether it be from NIH with Dr. Fauci to our actual scientists who are the ones that are responsible for establishing a vaccine and a cure and all of these things. So we've been hiring. I reported previously, last pay period, we had 75 people on board. Tomorrow is the beginning of a pay period. We have 177 or 178 people who are on board. So working in the HR area, that is very busy for my entire staff and department, but specifically for mine, like I'm working on this major project and I've been hiring, so I've been doing orientation, interviewing and everything like from March to now has been like a whole lot. And one thing about our managers, they have been encouraging us to take leave. So I'm actually taking leave next week. And at first I was like, why would I take leave and I'm at home working? But I'm working really, really, really hard, like almost harder than I was on a day-to-day basis when I was in there. So me making sure that I balance everything that goes on. So, I have my work, and I normally start like 6:30, work to 3. I take a pause in between, rest up, do what I need to do, and then I transition right over to my do it work. And I have my set hours for that. So between 2 to 3 hours, I'm doing that as well. And then trying to get my workout in and trying to cook. Y'all know my new skill set, right? Trying to cook and do all of those things. My days are full. So I don't watch the news. I don't watch all these things. So thankfully, it has removed me from some of the things that has caused anxiety or has caused like upper frightened levels of feeling a certain way because of knowing what's going on. So every now and then I'll get new information about what's going on. Brittany says, a lot of people say telework is more than going to work. I definitely agree with that. However, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. My volume of work, definitely more, but it also have to do with my projects that are going on right now. But I tell you what, my commute to work, although I only work so far, on a good day, it takes me 27 minutes. On a day, 495 rush hour traffic and all of those things, it can take me up to an hour, sometimes 2 hours, depending on what's going on. So Brittany, I'll take the extra work that seems to come in exchange for that commute, which drives me crazy and messes up my whole mood, going and then coming back. So definitely hear that. But we have Janice that is connected on the line. So I'm going to turn to this camera and so that Janice can join us. Hey, Janice, how are you?
Hey.
How's it going?
What's up?
Nothing much. So thank you so much for agreeing to join in on the show at the last minute, like based on our conversations that we had. But we were talking last night from, different relationships and dating during COVID-19. And one of the things that we talked about was our different experiences. So for you, in terms of being in the house with your husband, but you're already a 100% entrepreneur. So you work from home, but your husband and you have multiple ventures that is not necessarily that both of you all are in the house all the time as this much around each other. So talk to me, how's it going in the Bowles household?
I tell you, you know what, this time frame, it really kind of has not, for me, changed too much because I love being at home. I enjoy, being at home, just being in my zone, whether that's, taking a nap when I want to,
Right.
watching television, reading, whatever I need to do. I enjoy the atmosphere of being at home, going outside, sitting on the deck, sitting on the porch, I love that part. Um, because of the fact that Thomas and I, we work, from home since he, retired from his 9 to 5 a few years ago. We spent a lot of time together anyway, you know. So between, our real estate business and, we have another business that we got into with regards to trucking, and he's managing that and whatnot. At first I thought that was going to be something, whereas it was going to be shut down in a sense, so that would cause him to be even more so home with me in my space, so to speak. But that's not the case, because his drivers are considered essential. So as far as him managing them in the day in and day out, he had to take first precedence with that. So for us, it's kind of this, the norm is just the same for us. For my psyche, like for instance, when I go out to the grocery stores and whatnot, I am a person who is very, if I see someone, I'm going to give them eye contact and I'm going to say, hello, how you doing? And with this mask thing, it's like I'm smiling through my mask. I'm like, these people, they can't even see me, so I'm finding myself having to nod to say hello, and more so my eye expressions and things of that nature. So the communication thing, I think moving forward for me, it kind of affects my psyche in that aspect of things, because, we won't be so, it just seems like folks, because of the uncertainty, are not as jovial, and that's to be expected, because there's so much on the mind, and we don't know what's going and what's, how it's going to pan out. But I love the fact of just being at home and being in my space. For Thomas, I mean, he has his man cave. When he's here, he'll go in and do his thing and watch his golf and things of that nature, and all the sports, reruns. For me, I have my area where, I'm watching my reality TV and, things of that nature. So it's fine for us. It has not caused any disruption. I think in actuality, we do have moments where we kind of like having even more intellectual conversations. I like that in that aspect, because before it could have been just more so just business, talking about business, and then, routine, wake up, go to bed, business in that aspect. So I'm beginning to kind of like pull more out of him from that standpoint, and I like that.
Yep. So you hit upon a couple things in terms of feeling like your life really has not been adjusted as much. And I want to say something to that, because I feel the same way. It's all upon how you look at the situation, right? Like if we dwell on the things that we can't control, then we're going to feel defeated. But when we know that there's absolutely nothing that we can do about the lifting of it and things that are going on, we're not scientists, so we can't come up with a cure, and all of these variations of things. So why worry about that? It goes straight to the prayer of the serenity prayer. When you really think about that and focus on what can you do. So immediately I was like, I don't have to commute to work. So I already had telework 5 days in a 2-week period, right? So increasing it worked very much fine for me, because I cannot stand dealing with traffic. And it's almost like no matter how early I leave out or how early I leave from work, that I have to deal with it. And then sometimes I have to go to our Rockville office, and I have to, that's where my psyche get messed up. I have to get myself together, and I'll tell my supervisor, whatever meetings we have, cut them off at 3 o'clock because I'm leaving by 3 o'clock so that I can get home in a reasonable amount of time, right? So again, it's all according to how you view the situation and how you pay attention to things that you can control. So we talked about your space in the house and your engagement being different when you go outside, because you have to greet people in a certain way. But let's talk about a couple things. So I love to vacation, but I think you are maybe that one person that vacation way more than I do. So let's talk about that a little bit. So for me, as we came about this month, right? So it's my birthday. And I normally spread out my times in which I do something. So I'll take off my month in December, and then I will do either my January and my February in terms of making sure that I get through what I need to get through and that everything is working fine, right? So when I get to June represents like summer vacation, whether it be our mindset because the children are getting out. But so my birthday is June 4th. So we always have the Memorial Day holiday. So I always look at that of how I can save, leave, and do. But that's when my vacationing season start. So I have to tell you, the past 3 days, I was no vacation. So you'll see my post that I had when I had my crabs. When I was out and I wrote that post about pretending like I'm on vacation, I was so serious because I was in my mind. I was like, oh my God, no Martha's Vineyard this year. I was like, oh my goodness, no water, no ocean this year. So it kind of got me to a degree, but I was like, okay. I love my deck. So we're about to turn my deck into some destinations, and I'll be a little creative with the type of music or whatever it is. But nonetheless, tell me, how are you dealing with the inability to be able to vacation?
It's killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me because, for since about 2015, my birthday is in April. My birthday is April 8th. And, I've been blessed to every year we've gone on vacation.
I like that.
When my youngest, my son, even when he was in high school, we would take vacation around the time of his spring break. So, and it would kind of coincide, as a birthday celebration for me as well. And we would be on vacation. Yeah. So my vacation time frame would start in April. And then, of course, it'll go all the way into, September and sometimes even into the, Christmas holidays. So that it killed me because this year, April, I turned 51. I'm stuck in the house, and it was really it really bothered me a lot because also right before this COVID pandemic, I lost my dog. Yeah. And my Tata, she had been with us for 12 years. So I'm used to having her here. She's just my little, furry daughter, and she's not here, and there's silence in the house. Now it's my birthday. I can't go anywhere, and I'm dang on mad. I'm really upset because turning 50 last year, I was in the Dominican Republic with some friends. So it's really that right there in itself. I can't wait until I was just talking to Thomas the other day. I can't wait to get to Florida. Just let me drive to Florida. I know we can't travel, out of the country just yet.
Right.
Let's just drive to Florida. Let's drive to Florida so we can see our peeps. And I'm ready.
Right. And it's so funny that you say that because my daughter turned 30 this year. And as you know, last year we were in Paris together. Yeah. And for her, so every May, we go on a trip. So we combine Mother's Day and all 3 of their birthdays, right? So last year we were in Paris, and I remember, I took her out to eat in the Eiffel Tower for her birthday after we spoke. And when we were in there, she looked out the window and she said, wow, this is my 29th birthday. I have to do something even more amazing than this for my 30th. So she did the planning, but girl, when they refunded that money, she was so hurt. She was devastated. And I kept telling her, just be thankful of last year or what you did. Like, that was still the highlight. So we started talking and reliving that. But some people are really devastated. And just think about all of the birthdays that have occurred. And not only the birthdays, think about the graduations.
Yes.
Like,
oh my goodness.
So much, especially for the people who were looking forward to this. You know what I mean? No proms, no walking across the stage, no last time with your cheerleaders or with your football team or none of that. Like, this class of 2020, we really need to be very sensitive with them. And I hope that, I mean, I know Oprah did her thing and LeBron did his thing and former President Barack Obama did his thing. So many other things that are helping where people are trying to help them to get through this situation. But we all know it's none like that thing when you get to walk across the stage, whether it be from nursery school to grade school, but at least they will have another grade school. But the 12th graders, I feel really bad for them.
You know, that opportunity is gone for them. And, you know, my heart goes out to them because, you know, it's like those memories, those everlasting memories, you know, they don't have them. But I was happy to see a lot of families creating their own individual special memories. My pastor's son, he graduated from high school, and they should put a video on their Facebook where his older brother came back in town, and I think it was the superintendent of here locally, the schools.
Okay.
They were on campus. And they were in the auditorium, so the superintendent was there. Of course, they were practicing social distancing, but they allowed him to receive his diploma. They called his name out. His brother stood in for the principal in his diploma. You know, his family members were, you know, in the audience. So that was, I think, is special in that
creative way.
But I was just thinking about, you know, here I am being selfish. I was thinking about myself. I'm like, oh Lord, thank you, Jesus, because my kids already graduated.
Girl,
college.
and you and your kids.
That money I would have paid and could never saw them actually walk to get their diploma, I would have been just devastated. So, you know,
I can imagine, but it's also other things like that. Let's just take today, Memorial Day. Of course, we pay homage to those who fought in the war and those current, past and current veterans and those who served. But also, we look at it as a time for cookouts. It's the kickoff for the summer cookout. It's not the same. I mean, those hard-headed people that are not doing what they're supposed to do, that's a different story. But like, really, your gatherings for birthdays, anniversaries, for just celebrations. Easter was like the first time ever. Like, we couldn't even celebrate Easter in a normal traditional way, the way that we have church. And I thank God for my church, Mount Eden, and my pastor, Downward Coast. We have virtual services, and we have not missed a Sunday. We're in spring revival like right now. So of course it's rewind, and it's we are showing some of the favorite sermons from the previous ones. But we had praise and worship. Last week our choir was like a virtue, and it was like the Brady Bunch block. And they were just killing it. So I felt it the same way. So, I mean, it's so many different things. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was relationships overall. So how are you and your friends keeping in contact with one another?
Well, we always call. You know, all of us, you know, we're very, you know, busy and whatnot, but we call, we stay connected, calling, and talking to one another, which is very good. You know, just checking in.
Right.
And that's important. You know, to keep relationships going. You know, even you know, with family members and whatnot. I think I'm sure at some points, you know, this whole pandemic thing is very hard.
Yeah. And
it affects individuals very differently. Initially, you know, for me, you know, I'll have to admit, you know, I was like, okay, this probably, you know, this our whole dynamics of life is about to change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
wow, this is a big deal.
Yeah.
Like I shared, with the fact of when I'm out and about in public and not just being able to greet people on a normal, in a normal fashion.
Yeah.
For me, that really took a toll. It really did take a toll on me. And just thinking about, we just have to adjust to a new norm. That's very important. But just continue to call. I have one girlfriend, she knows that I love cards, so she has sent cards to me in the mail, and I love that. So even I think getting back to maybe handwritten gestures and notes and things of that nature, not so much texting, but the handwritten things, because you'll have that, and you'll have it as a reflection and a memory. I think that's very important. What I've done as far as, I've looked back through my phone at the vacation photos and things.
Yeah, I've been seeing you post, and I was like, wait a minute, where's Janice? But I saw you posting your little throwbacks all throughout.
Yeah, that helps. That helps the psyche, because you can reflect back and look forward to the future, because you can get back into the realms of those things that make you happy. So I think those are good things.
Right. So very good. So as you know, every time we get into our engaged talking, the show comes to an end. But thank you so much for jumping on with your feedback, and continue to appreciate your relationship. I love y'all relationship. I love how also, more importantly, I love how you said that you're almost living normally. I know there are limitations, but despite the limitations, you're still making the best of it, and you're continuing your life as through. And that's my goal. That's how I'm not allowing this thing to affect me. I'm fine, for staying in for a longer period of time. So I don't have an issue with it, and my life seems to be almost normal. But of course, the people that I'm around, that's not the same. Me and my best friend, we FaceTime each other all the time. I don't really FaceTime with anybody else, and I kept calling her a creep at first, but me and her FaceTime a lot. Other than that, a lot of telephone talking, a lot of engaging with people. So I'm enjoying that side of it. So thank you again for joining in on your off night. And I can't wait till next month, for Money Making Mondays, and to bring all the information to our participants. So thank you so much, Janice, for jumping in and jumping on. I appreciate you, and looking forward to you for the next show. So bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Love you.
So thanks everyone for joining this episode of Let's Do a Talk Show. So we just wanted to jump in and kind of talk about the impacts of COVID-19. We talked about it on all different levels. We have talked about it from a financial standpoint. We've had several people to come on who were nurses, someone who had been infected with it, and just family members or someone who owns a nursing. So we are really paying attention to all of the things that are going on. But we hope that regardless of everything that's going on, that you find your space and you find a sense of normality, because this is not going to go away soon. Although they're lifting up things, I really want you to take heed and to be careful. And everybody's you know your body. You don't know your body, because a lot of healthy people didn't make it out of this. But when you do know that you have symptoms that they have called out to be things that you will have a hard time dealing with, make sure that you take heed to that. So again, thanks everybody. Huge shout out to everybody who joined. So some new people that joined on, Miss Gail. Hi, Miss Gail. How are you? You behaving. You know I call you Judy when you're bad. We have Sonda Hickman, Latoya Liddell, Paula Campbell, and I think I touched base in naming everyone else, but thank you all so much for joining us. We have a couple of promos that are coming up. Whoever joined for the Career Elevation panel this weekend, I know that you all were tremendously blessed. Me and my HR friends got in our HR sandbox and answered all of the questions that came through. So that was a delightful event. Next coming up for me, this coming weekend, I am resilient. I am resilient. It is a global effort where I'm going to tell a story about something that I had to triumph and overcome, but that made me so much better and made me the person that I am. So make sure that you register. It's free, but sign up so that you can listen to my story as well as all of the other ones. And if you are interested in partying with me and celebrating with me at my virtual paint party, send me a message, text me, or inbox me so that I can send you the private invitation. So thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your Memorial Day weekend, and I'll see you all next week.